Welcome, everybody, back to the Friar Talk podcast and YouTube channel. So today we're going live, going to be answering any questions that you guys got. Talking Padres, 49ers, Chargers. This has been our kind of Sunday live stream routine of talking NFL and talking a little bit MLB, just what you guys want to hear. Obviously, a lot of this is because there's not much going on in baseball right now. So we want to talk about football a little bit. Do recognize that not everyone's a Chargers fan. So I know some people had asked, like, hey, like, will you let us know if there's if it's Chargers content, because like not really interested in that. So we're gonna let you guys know when we start these. But any questions you guys have, we'll go through. However, I'll let Isaac start it off and talk a little bit about the Chargers. I'll talk a little bit about the Niners just because it's Sunday, NFL, and there are playoff scenarios for both teams. On really that are going to be maybe not decided today. I don't know, Isaac. Can the Chargers clinch today? They can't, right? They can just be
No,
quiet.
pretty much all that can happen is, well, pretty much they can control their own fate after today if they win. They need to win, the Dolphins need to lose, and the Ravens need to lose in order for them to just basically be winning in next week against the Raiders. So, I think the Ravens losing hopefully can be Happy New Year, Devin. I hope I think the Ravens losing. Hopefully that happens. I mean, the Ravens are always in the game. You never know how they're going to do. Harbaugh's an amazing coach considering what he has done these past couple of weeks. Um, I know they haven't won, but they've been consistently in each game against some pretty good teams. So the Dolphins, they've won 7 in a row. Props to them. They haven't played the best competition, but I mean, today's going to be their first true test in a couple weeks. Or well, I guess the Ravens was a good test too, but today's going to be their another test for them against Tennessee, who last week did pretty good. Just I did not think they were going to beat the Niners, and they ended up doing pretty well. And I think Julio might be back today. Either way, AJ Brown is a certified. If he were to play a full season, we'd probably be talking about him as a top 5 receiver. He's very, very, very good. Kind of reminds me of like an Andre Johnson kind of guy, but. Hopefully Tennessee's able to pull it out. Hopefully, who's the other team I'm talking about? Oh, the Rams are able to pull it out, and the Chargers got to pull it out today. A lot of COVID cases for Denver. So I know last week last week the Chargers should have beat the Texans, but didn't happen. And actually, it was something funny, Matt. So I was watching this video, and it was like the Bills, after losing to the Chiefs, lost to the Jaguars, and then I forgot the other ones, but there were 2 more where the team lost to the Chiefs and they got upset the next week. So I guess I'm not mad. I'm not really mad about the upset. Bills lost to the Jags, Cardinals lost to the Lions. So it's whatever, I guess. But now, they put themselves in a tougher position.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just one of those things. You last week you were not confident about them beating the Texans. I was like, oh yeah, so like you guys got to win today. Being in a really good spot. You're like, let's see after they win. Let's wait to crown them champions over the Texans.
Yeah.
Like you were super, like kind of careful to write that one in stone. Now of course my Niners are playing the Texans today. I do think that this is a game. Well, okay, you do have Trey Lance starting, so like yeah, I guess that's a little bit of a wild card, but I feel like the Niners are in a more important position to get it done. Where for the Chargers, it's like everything's still up in the air in the AFC. You look at the Ravens game against the Rams should absolutely obliterate the Ravens. No Lamar Jackson. Hollywood's banged up, and then their defense, their entire defense, and especially their secondary is super depleted. You could see Cooper Kupp go off for 200 yards today. Like it could be that kind of level. You guys saw how bad the Bengals beat them. They do not have a secondary. Unless Lamar comes back next week and they have a way to like a win and get in, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs because I think they're going to lose this week. And I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan, but I just don't like he's had to play hero ball all year. Like their team is not very good. So definitely could see them losing. I will say though, sorry to all the Chargers fans out there, I'm betting heavy today on the Broncos. I think the Broncos are going to run the ball down the Chargers defense throat. Now we've talked about it before, Isaac. Derwin's been banged up. Is he going to be back today? That's a big one. Obviously, he's back.
Yeah,
okay,
he's
so
back.
that does help a lot. But Drew Lock didn't look like he did last week. Now, very small sample size, so we'll see. But I just think it's a tough matchup for the Chargers. Earlier in the year, you saw the Broncos secondary really take it to the Chargers. And I know that they don't have the pass rush that they normally do. But you're talking about a really well-coached defense in terms of Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio is an amazing defensive coordinator. Now, I know he's their head coach, but he still calls the defense. So you have an advantage in terms of your defense against their offense for the Broncos, and you have something that you can heavily exploit with it, which is the Chargers' run defense. So I just think it's a recipe for a Broncos upset. And we were talking about this. They're like 8-point underdogs. And me and Isaac both feel like that's really, really crazy. I don't know. I think that's insane. But what do you guys think? You guys think 8-point underdogs is fair for the Broncos, or you think they're kind of being slept on in this one? Obviously, they don't have much of a chance to make the playoffs anymore, but I don't know. I feel like it should be a lot closer.
Yeah, the Chargers, for anyone that, doesn't consistently watch Charger football, if you ever go into a game thinking the Chargers are going to spank someone, it doesn't happen. No matter who they play, they don't do it. They don't spank anyone. They consistently have poor teams hanging games. The only game that I can think of where they actually spanked the team was the Bengals, and that was bad. Like they kicked their ass for a while, and not even then the Bengals were starting to get back into the game. So, I mean, even against the Broncos, like it's a divisional matchup. It's Vic Fangio's defense has given Herbert fits in the past, and I know Callahan's going to be out, Darby's questionable, Kareem Jackson questionable, Chubb out. So there's some big pieces missing on that Broncos defense, but nonetheless, they still got depth pieces that are pretty good. So I still think they'll win today. I just don't think it'll be by more than, I don't know, 3.
Yeah, and it should be a close game. That's why I was just surprised that it's like over a touchdown favorite.
Yeah.
Like it's a division game where these teams usually like play pretty close games for the most part.
They always play close games. Even when the Broncos were top tier and Phillip Rivers had no one to throw to and a bunch of practice squad receivers, practice squad corners, it was always like a 7 to 3 point game.
Yeah. No, it definitely was. But what else we got? We got it's me, Joey here. He's going to the game today. That's a pretty sweet one to go. Do the Chargers play at home week 18 or no? Is this their last home game?
This is their last home game. They play week 18 in Vegas.
Okay. So that's pretty sweet. Last home game of the year. Yeah, for the Niners, I'll talk about Trey Lance a little bit. And any questions you guys have, go ahead. Obviously, not much baseball stuff going on. But for my Niners, Trey Lance, obviously you guys see I'm wearing a number 5 jersey right now. I am super pumped. I think against the Cardinals, he was banged up, didn't look very accurate, but a lot of people seem to be really concerned about that. Isaac, I don't know if you've seen that. Obviously, not being a Niners fan, but like a lot of people are really concerned that Trey Lance isn't going to be accurate. One, his throwing motion is going to be completely changed in the next couple off seasons. You look at a lot of young quarterbacks that have like those elongated motions, that gets cleaned up. But in terms of accuracy, he's at, I think, a 52% completion percentage right now, only playing one game and playing it with an injured finger. If he looks pretty good for the rest of the year and he finishes around a 58 completion percentage, that is way ahead of schedule, in my opinion. Because if you look at some of the recent guys that have come into the league, Allen comes in, rookie year throws 52, then goes up to 58, and then I think he got to 69 or something insane. He got like an 11% or some crazy completion percentage jump when they added Stephon Diggs. But if Trey Lance can go in there and make the routine plays and potentially kind of finish around a 58, that's what Lamar Jackson finished as a rookie. And even though a lot of people slander Lamar, he's a pretty accurate quarterback. Does he miss throws? 100%, but his running ability pushes him over the top to be an elite quarterback. So for Lance, I think today what you're trying to see is if he can complete 60% of his passes, that's massive. If he can just make those easy throws where it's a little bubble screen to Debo, where it's Ayuk running a slant, like little stuff like that, where he doesn't sail it and whatnot, I think that's a huge win for Trey Lance. And I definitely think that they should be able to run the ball down the Texans' throat. I mean, you probably want to see them finish this game with over 30 rushes, hopefully over 150 rushing yards, but that's the recipe to win, I think, this game. And also get after Davis Mills, who's actually been putting up a pretty solid second half, since he was named the starter again, which is interesting because I know that he struggled a lot at Stanford. At least one of my Stanfords. Gil caught us for the top 10. Hey, we had him pretty high. I think most people put him a lot lower, at least the ones that I saw on Twitter for top 10s with Machado. But yeah, for Lance, that's kind of where I'm at on it. I think he's going to look pretty good. Not going to look perfect. I don't think anyone should expect perfect. He's 21 years old and doesn't turn 22 until May. So I think people get a little too like impatient with some of these guys.
That's just kind of the way the NFL is right now. With, I mean, you're looking at all the young stars at quarterback right now. Lamar popped off his rookie year. Josh Allen popped off his second year. Herbert had an amazing rookie season. Like Mahomes, his first season under center was fantastic. This is just guys around the league. Right? Deshaun Watson. Weird to mention his name. How we haven't seen him all year, but had an amazing rookie year before he got injured, and then went on to have an amazing second year also. So it's just like there's a lot of guys popping off as soon as they come into the league. But to expect everyone to do that, especially someone from he came from a D2 school, went to a system that isn't really. He went to a team that wasn't in a rush to get him in there. And I know that's going to be like, oh, why can't he win the starting job over Jimmy G? I don't think it's that. I just think that they don't want to rush him into something that, is going to be so fresh. And Matt brought up his throwing motion. It's not the best, and that's going to change. But, I mean, he has a chance today. I don't think he's going to win the game through the air. I think he's going to win with his legs. I think he's going to, with everyone's legs, if he can get the ball to Debo, get the ball to Ayuk, I think that's how they're going to win. I don't think there's going to be anything crazy out of Trey Lance through the air. It's just going to be done on the ground. And, I mean, that's how the Niners have historically won recently. So that's how I think they'll do it.
Yeah, so question for you, not being a Niners fan too. Do you think that having Trey Lance starting for the rest of the year gives them a better chance down the stretch? Like, do you think they can pull off some more upsets?
I think with the type of football that gets played around this time of year, everyone talks about the cold weather, how it's harder to win through the air. It's a lot easier for teams to win on the ground in this time of year. I think it could realistically help them more. I just think that I want to see him again. Who do they play next week?
The Rams, but Walford might be starting, so it might not. It might be kind of a wash.
Yeah. Well, if the Rams don't have a playoff spot clinched and they do have their starters out there, I really would like to see that. Would like to see him play against the Rams, see how he does. Because the first time he played with the Cardinals.
Yeah, and dude, people said he didn't look good. Their offensive line looked awful. They had multiple guys out with injury.
Yeah,
he missed a couple throws, but he kept them in the game ultimately. Like he had a few big plays on third down.
Yeah, and I know I heard a lot of people say he didn't look good through the air, but I mean, that doesn't really matter. He'll still be able to do it with his legs. I think come playoff time, if they have him, Elijah Mitchell, Jeff Wilson, if they have them all healthy with Debo out there as well, George Kittle obviously also, I think they'll be able to pull off at least one. I don't know if they'll make the NFC Championship, but I think they'll be able to get past the wild card.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think that you could see him pull off an upset, unless if they go Green Bay in the second round. I'm taking my chances there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so let's get into this Machado top 10 third base stuff. And Irie, I'll come back to you about the conspiracy stuff because I have a couple things to say. But first, let's go into Machado. He's becoming criminally underrated, 100%. I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's put up great years. His 2020 and 2021 seasons were on pace to be like over 5 WAR, both of them. I think it was 8 WAR in 2020 is what he was on pace for if you stretch that out over a full season. But you look at Machado. I don't know about Jose Ramirez, but I think over the last couple seasons he has been better than Arenado. Arenado could bounce back. What we noticed when we went through a lot of the third base rankings is guys are really up and down.
Yes.
Like really good couple last years, or that like the last couple years they've slumped and fallen down. We saw that with Arenado. We saw that with was it Chapman, and who else was it? Bregman, yeah, because Bregman had a 9 WAR season, then he just completely fell off. So like you've seen guys go really up and down. I would take Manny over Arenado right now, though. But a lot of people, and then also Devin wrote below. A lot of people still dislike Machado for no good reason. Yeah, and he's exactly, and he's also stepped up as a clubhouse favorite. I mean, he's the leader of the Padres. I think that's pretty clear. I think that like you watch Padres on a night-to-night basis, like you'll see that very clearly, and also like that he's a captain of the team. Like it's pretty obvious that he's taken on that role and he's done a really good job with it. I think people just don't like Machado, and I don't think that'll ever change. But I don't know. Us Padre fans can. Well, I think Padre fans really love Machado, which is really cool. So
Yeah. So trust me, it was hard for me to put Machado after Ramirez, but after the season Ramirez had, he was almost. I think he either was or he was almost a 7-WAR player. I mean, 36 home runs, 266 batting average. Let me see what else he's got. He had an 893 OPS. He had like 27 stolen bases, something crazy like that. He was just really good all around. And I think Matt brought up his defensive runs, or what did you bring up a little while back where you said it was like 1.2 or something? I forgot what it was.
For who? For
For
Ramirez?
Ramirez, yeah.
Yeah,
defensively.
like he was a little like he was a positive graded defender. Like he had a
Yeah.
positive defense war. It wasn't like anything like crazy like Machado and Arenado have had, but it was like, oh, he's a little above average.
Yeah, so just on the base path. I mean, I haven't heard of any third baseman being able to steal 26 stolen bases. So that's what kind of gives him a nod over the other two is his ability to steal on the base paths. And that's where he kind of makes up for his defense, is that he's able to steal bases. Whereas, Manny had like 12 stolen bases. Let me see how many Arenado had. Arenado had two stolen bases. I mean, so Jose Ramirez stole 24 more bases than Nolan Arenado. That's huge. That's huge for a team.
Manny had like 12 in the first month. Remember that?
Yes.
he was taking bags over and over.
Over and over. My brother was starting to call him the Flash because he was just starting to take so many bags. And it was funny. Yeah, I mean, but after that, the Padres kind of went a more conservative route. We stopped seeing a bunch of stolen bases the way they were. And Ramirez didn't stop.
Yeah, he did pretty good. Yeah, let's see. Gil said there's 5 to 6 third basemen who are at the top of their game. Devers is right up there with everyone. I think so. Devers is a slugger. I think there was a good handful of guys that are really good. Also, I think there'll be some guys that bounce back and kind of emerge there. But yeah. I mean, overall, like I think Machado has to be a top 3 lock no matter what you do. But if he's outside of top 3, that's just
it's pretty blasphemous.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. And then let me go back. Okay. So, I agree. I'm not a conspiracy guy, but saying that gambling is getting really high, and a lot of people think some plays are blown due to gambling. So, I get where this is coming from. You're talking about NFL and that the MLB is going to be adopting it next year. The only thing I would say is I'm not arguing that there are some plays where you look back and you go, I wonder who the NFL wanted to win this game. I think we've seen that with the Packers a couple times this year. At least the most recent one I can remember against the Browns. Like there was some bad calls in that game. But you see these teams and you see like, okay, what's the narrative that they want? Obviously they want to push the Rodgers stock heavy, right? And then you see how some of these games are reffed and you go, that's a little interesting. I think it's more about ratings though than gambling. I think it's more about, we want this team to go far because this is the team that has the best narrative around it. Aaron Rodgers in his last year with the Packers, he's going to take him to a Super Bowl. I think it's that kind of thing. Look at last year, Tom Brady, he did it. He changed teams. He's the GOAT. Like he's the undisputed GOAT. Like that's the narrative that you want to see push. And it's not like to say like, these teams didn't win or whatever. Like they didn't deserve it. I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying I just think that you'll see some calls where it gets interesting, where I understand where it comes from. But Isaac, what do you think? Do you think there's a conspiracy there, or do you think it's about the gambling? I just think it wouldn't be about the gambling.
I always thought it's about, I've always thought there was a conspiracy. I mean, it's sports. I mean, like you look at boxing and UFC, I feel like that's heavily rigged. I've always thought boxing especially was heavily rigged. You look at, so I'll go back to this fight. The very first Triple G versus Canelo fight. Rigged, 100%, because Triple G won. I'm not a Canelo fan. I will admit, I think their second one, I think Canelo won, or, that it was at least a tie. But the first one, Triple G won 100%. The only reason that it was ruled I forgot what it was called, a draw or whatever. The only reason is because it was Mexican Independence Day. And so, my whole family rooting for Canelo and everything. And I'm like the only one not, because it's not that I'm Mexican, and as a Mexican, it's like a disgrace if you don't root for Canelo. But I mean, dude, who does he fight? Like, he doesn't fight anyone good. And then he goes, and I thought he lost to Triple G, and it ends up being a draw. But like I said, it was Mexican Independence Day. He wasn't going to lose. And I think the next time they fought was on Cinco de Mayo. So he's not going to lose on either of those holidays. I mean, it's rigged. It's that especially I think is rigged. But in football, I think there's times where you can look I can't bring up any specific games, but of course, there's going to be times where we think it's rigged. Though in basketball, of course, you look at the Lakers and Kings series in 2001 with Kobe and Shaq. Everyone thinks that is the most rigged series in NBA history. And I think it actually came out true.
And you're a Lakers fan.
Rigged. I'm a Lakers fan, yeah. Yeah, I think it actually came out to be true that it was rigged. I'm not exactly sure, but that one gets talked about a lot for it being rigged. And baseball, it can really be rigged just based off, this umpire, they're not supposed to, but you never know. Like, the umpire goes to a family member, hey, can you go to the casino and place this bet under your name for me? Boom, rigged, done. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's always a possibility. That's definitely the case, I think. I just don't know if it's gambling, though. I think it's more about, like, trying to get certain teams farther.
Yes.
I mean, I could be wrong, I don't know what the reason for boxing is, but you're 100% right, dude. Some of those fights are absolutely
ridiculous.
Yes. You'll be like, no way that dude won. Look at that guy's face. Look at the other guy's face. Like, you're telling me that the dude that's completely jacked up somehow won this fight? Like, no TKO, nothing like that. He has like less, you see where and you can look down at or look back at how many hard hits did he take, where it's pretty clear that one guy won. But I don't know. I got another question here. What do you guys think about Kyle Schwarber? I think he's another vital choice for offense, first base, DH. He walks a lot and hits for above average as a lefty. And the Padres need more power on the lefty side. I think that's pretty solid. I think that's a pretty solid addition. A cheaper one too. Like, that's if you don't want to go and get Castellanos or Chris Bryant and you want to have a little cheaper option, and then maybe you go get Suzuki. And you just go a little cheaper and you get multiple players to fill some spots, which I think makes more sense. I would rather than do that than go get Castellanos or go break the bank on someone. So I'm with it. I like the idea of bringing Kyle Schwarber. I think it does depend what his deal is, but last time I saw it was not that crazy. I think it was 3 for $40. It wasn't super expensive. So shorter term deal. He can play multiple spots. You can plug him in left field. You can plug him at first base sometimes, and you can put him at DH. So I'm with it.
Oh, sorry. I think with him, to me, it's also more about the price, because I don't know. I'm not really fully willing to buy into him. It's something about him and his, his career that just gets me to kind of hesitate. He did have a little stint with injuries that cost him a lot of games. That's one thing. That's kind of keeping me hesitant. And then I don't know. Let me look at his numbers real quick. But I don't know. It's just something that if he's not that expensive, cool. I
think that's what it's more about, don't you think? Is the price, can you add him and someone else that's pretty solid, opposed to if you just get one guy? That's where I think I like it. I mean, because you look like Chris Bryant, Chris Bryant's probably better.
Of course,
you know what I mean? It's just he's a lot more expensive. But there's a significant margin. That's what I think is the difference.
Yeah. So we look at his past 2 years. 2021, he batted .266 with a .928 OPS and 32 home runs. He had a really good year for sure. 2020, he played 59 games, 191 at-bats, batted .188 with a .701 OPS and 11 bombs.
Hey, 188 with a .701 OPS isn't bad.
That's crazy, huh?
That's what I was thinking. That's an awful average. Don't get me wrong, but you're cracking 700, not hitting 200. What? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Going Joey Gallo mode.
That's the one. That's what I was thinking too. 2019, he hit 38 bombs, 250 with an 871 OPS. 2018, 823 OPS, 238 batting average. 26 home runs. So those are pretty good, except for the batting average. But he does make up for it with home runs. I don't know how his defense is. I would honestly say, going off the top of my head, he's probably not very good at it, but I mean, seems like he's pretty good at the plate. What Matt, Chase, and I have constantly said is that the Padres need power in their lineup. 1 through 9, they need power. If you look at our 1 through 9 from last year, oh, nice. Yo, how'd you pull that up? That's crazy.
Yeah, so I just wanted to see this. I mean, look at his 2021 year. That's ridiculous.
That's
Hitting wise,
crazy.
bro. This is what the Padres like too, right here. This is
Yeah,
what
of
Preller's
course.
always about. Hey, let's see. Let's go back to some. It's still up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just see he barreled a lot less. Dude, he barreled a lot of baseballs. That's insane. He strikes out a lot, but he walks a lot.
Yeah.
If you're gonna strike out a lot and you walk a lot, I mean,
Pretty
this is
good.
kind of like, I feel like this is almost like the less hyped up version, like of that Joey Gallo mold.
Yeah, Joey Gallo. Yeah.
But you see this?
Oh yeah.
So don't put him in the outfield. Forget that.
No.
He's DH. He's DH in first base.
Yeah, if he could be an inexpensive DH, that'd be pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, if that's the position that they're looking for, I think that'd be great for him. Like you said, I mean, like we both said, it's pretty much just about the cost. Other than that, though, Padres needed power in their lineup. Tommy Pham did not provide it. Will Myers didn't provide it. Eric Hosmer didn't provide it. Adam Frazier didn't provide it. And Austin Nola didn't provide it. That's 5 guys in your lineup that don't provide power, including your pitcher. Now you got 6 guys. So now who are the only 3 that can consistently hit home runs? Jake Cronenworth, Manny Machado, and Fernando. That's it. And
wait, I think you forgot someone. Nelson Cruz, baby. It's a lock. I think it's a lock. I really do.
If he's the DH, dude, that's another 30+ bombs. I mean, even if you look at his age, who cares? Like,
so what if you did this? What if you do this? Check this out. Say you trade Hosmer. You probably have to package Campy or some, you got to package someone with him. Or you DFA him. I mean, I'd rather them DFA him, but I just don't think it's going to happen. You have your center fielder. You have your right or left fielder. What if you do this? You get rid of Haas. You add Nelson Cruz, Kyle Schwarber, and Suzuki. Schwarber plays first. Nelson Cruz is your DH. Schwarber will eventually take over DH after Nelson Cruz retires. And then you have Suzuki in right, and then you have Myers in left. I think that's nice. That's a super easy 3 moves or 4 moves, I guess. I think it's great.
So how would, in this scenario, what is the way they got rid of Hosmer? Trade, DFA?
I would say DFA is the best option.
Okay.
But I don't know if they're going to actually do that, Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd bank on the DFA, but if they did DFA him, your scenario makes the most sense because it's inexpensive. It's not expensive, and that's if they do go that route or have to eat a lot of money, that's the route they're going to have to go. So I think if they can get rid of Hosmer and get rid of most of his contract, which I don't think is realistic, I think they're going to have to eat at least half of it.
So I want to add one thing real quick. Sorry. Mm-hmm. I'd rather them go get Josh Bell instead of Schwarber or get a different first baseman.
Of course, absolutely.
And maybe you get Matt Olson and you do that, like you do the big swing for Matt Olson, but you could still go get Suzuki and you could still go get Nelson Cruz if you go get Olson, because those are free agent signings. So maybe that is the big trade. Maybe you trade him, you package Campy, you move Haas, and you get a deal for Olson, like where you have to move a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that could happen is if you see that deal, I think maybe you might see Trent Grisham moved. So then you'd have to find a center fielder too. So that'd be another corresponding move. But I don't know, because I'm looking right now at like defensively, Schwarber is not it. Like he's going to have to be DH. I don't even know if you want to put him at first for a full season. Like I don't. So that's my issue. It's like you put him at DH, but if you're already going to get Nelson Cruz, I'd rather you just go get Nelson Cruz.
Right. Can you do something? Can you look up Josh Bell's defense? Look like at his Savant page and see how he is defensively.
Yeah. It's not great, but he's improved.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. The one move I think is kind of a lock. I think the Padres are going to get Matt Olson.
It seems like it's getting a lot of hype.
I really do think they'll get Olson. The Yankees. Yeah, let me ask you guys in the chat right now. In order to get Olson, I do think they'll have to get rid of either Grisham or Hassel. Who would you guys get rid of? Who would you guys be more willing to get rid of? And if
Grisham
not,
or Hassel?
Yep.
Depends. Is CJ Abrams an outfielder? And do
a
we get Suzuki?
huge, yeah, that's a huge question for sure. I completely agree with that.
Because if you get Suzuki, then I'm feeling a lot more comfortable moving Hassel.
Yeah, definitely. See, guys, like I don't know if I'm the only one. I think Matt and Chase are on board. Let me know if you agree. I've been saying CJ Abrams is a right fielder for a while now. I think he'd be a fantastic right fielder. Because, you look at our top 10 right fielders video, it was Ronald Acuna, Juan Soto, Mookie Betts. I mean, there was nothing but top tier talent there. A lot of the top tier talent right now is playing right field. So if you're able to get his speed, his arm, his bat at the top of the lineup, along with, I think his defensive traits would be great out there. You could potentially have yourself a top 5 right fielder here soon, but
probably 6.
Yeah,
like early on.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think about this? This is Josh Bell stuff. So he was all right last year. Like he was graded pretty solid at first. I mean, 4.0 outs above average. I mean, you look at 2020 -3, 2019 -4, -1. I mean, this is when he used to be really bad, like was early on. But it seems like he made a big stride last year. Now there's always questions about that. Like, but let me see something real quick.
That's pretty good at first. What was Hosmer's outs above average last year?
That's what I'm switching over to. I'm getting it up right here. Because that's what I'm wondering.
I'll look up Josh Bell's age right now.
He's, I think, around 29 or 30.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like, oh man, dude. Ready? It's not too great. Let me take this off. All right. And we're getting close to football starting, so we'll bust
29.
Yeah, 29, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's Haas. Last year he had 0.
0. So
actually not bad.
Yeah, that's actually a lot better than I expected.
But you ready? Bell was better in 2020. Haas was better by 1. In 2019, all these, I mean, -11 is horrendous. -18 is horrendous. -5, I mean, yeah, -5, -9. Like, he's never had a positive graded season.
That dude won a Gold Glove.
He won a Gold Glove, but look at the numbers he was putting up: -9 outs above average. Like, bro,
I don't know. I don't know how that guy won a Gold Glove. I am astonished. -11. I've never
at first base.
Wow.
Yeah, that was 2019.
I think I can do better.
I mean, Chase played first. He's a guy to ask, right? Like, I mean, Chase gets so mad too. Like, he'll be like, Hosmer, why did you step at that part of the bag? Well, remember that one play where he stepped on the foul line part of the bag and was like standing all weird, and then it hit the base, like the guy running the first, and it was like, if you would have stepped in the front, that was an out, like an obvious out.
I think it goes unnoticed how often he does that.
He does it all the time, and it doesn't make any sense.
I don't think you had to have played first base to know, like, what are you doing, bro?
And a lot of times people are like, oh, like sometimes like Machado and Tatis like throw him off the bag. It's like, dude, but he's not a high percentile in terms of like his length. Like he's a big dude. He's like 6'4", but like in terms of first base length, he's pretty stubby. So like that's an aspect of it that goes into how good of a fielder you are. It's just like you're not like, are you able to? Because if you're playing in the wrong spots on the bag and you're not long to begin with, that's a huge disadvantage at first. Like he might make some nice scoops, but you need to do it consistently. Like first base is the only thing that matters to me, at least, is like, are you consistent? And he's not. So that's why I would take Bell.
Most of the time at first base, it's guys that suck at defense, can't play any other position, so they go to first. You look at it. You look at Josh Bell. I think what has he been his entire career? First baseman. Wasn't he something else before that? He's been a first baseman.
He's played second.
Yeah, so it's like okay.
He played outfield, I think, too.
I thought he was an outfielder.
So wait, one thing I want to do. I want to go over this real quick, so we're gonna take off because this is a good one. What does DFA mean? Do they have to pay the entirety of his contract and just release him? So they're gonna pay him but they can pay him out in a structured way. Like last year, I think it's last year, the year before, Adrian Gonzalez was still getting paid by the Dodgers. They just scrap out $1 million like every year. So you can do it where you like time it specifically. It's not like it's just like, all right, Haas, smack him $60 million right there as you cut him. Like it doesn't have to be like that. You can do it a little bit differently. And as far as I know, I don't know why he would make. I mean, I don't think he'd make all of it back. Like it would be close to all of it, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be every single dollar if you DFA him, because it's a lot different. It changes up. But I still think that I don't think they have an interest in DFAing him. But
no, I don't either. I think they'd rather him DH. And the only way he'd be a valuable DH is if stop hitting the ball on the ground so much.
Yeah, and I did see like apparently his fly ball rate has been rising. Still not high enough. Like that's the reality of it. Like it's still an issue. Like I saw that like every year it's actually gone up. So a lot of people were like ripping him, and they're like, look, like he has made like improvements if you look at the rates of his, but it doesn't go league wide, and I think that's the issue. And you see so many guys able to do it, so it's like, all right, like I'm not expecting him to be better. That's the thing. If I was expecting him to be better, then then totally different story, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's pretty much it. We'll definitely be talking about this a lot. But Isaac, before we take off, what do you want the Padres to do? I said Josh Bell, sign Suzuki, sign Nelson Cruz, trade Haas for Olsen, or Josh Bell, like some type of move like that where you swapped out first base. I don't really care about it. I think that's enough.
Yeah. I think if I were to go with cheap stuff, Suzuki for sure. I think that's about it. That's like the only move I would actually care about. Obviously, getting rid of Hosmer would be big. In that instance, I would want them to go get Matt Olson. I mean, I feel like that's as simple as I can put it. And I know, like, you know, not everyone's going to root for the Padres going for the home run. I know it's cost them a lot recently, but I feel like having another guy in your lineup that can hit 30-plus bombs is huge. You're going to have a whole infield that can pretty much hit 25-plus bombs, and I think that'd be huge. Another thing on my Padres wish list, if he looks good in spring training or whatever it is, I just want them to bring up CJ Abrams. I think he's ready. I think he will provide you a lot more production than Tommy Pham did. And I think he'll provide you more production than Will Myers will.
I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's what they want. Whatever the timing is he's going to take over left field. That's what I think.
I also think there shouldn't be a set position for him. I think he should be like a Chris Taylor kind of guy.
Dude, he's insanely athletic.
Yeah.
He's probably the most athletic guy in the system.
I think so too.
you can say Tatis, but I think Tatis is a little bit bigger. So like Tatis is more of like, I don't know, not like true athleticism, but like baseball athleticism, like what you want in a baseball player. It's like, oh yeah, Tatis fits the mold perfectly. But in terms of overall athlete, I think Abrams is probably the guy. That'd be sweet, dude. And also, like, you could have him. What if he's your like utility guy next year? And so like he's playing almost every day, but he's playing all around. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah,
if he's able to handle that. It might be too much to ask, though. That's the only thing. Like, you don't want to stun his development by doing that.
I agree.
Who do you think will be our opening day left field? Myers. I think Myers. I don't think he's going to play right. I think they're going to put him in left. I think they're going to get a Suzuki or another right fielder. I don't know.
Can we rule out the possibility of it being Tommy Pham?
I don't think we can rule it out, but I would not expect that.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either. I don't expect it at all. I think looks like Eric Hosmer's sitting.
Dude, okay, real quick. People were freaking out about that way too much. Oh, we're never gonna trade Haas because he invited Manny to his wedding. Bro's his teammate. They're buddies. That has nothing to do with it. I don't think.
Yeah.
I would be putting no stock into that.
Kirby Yates was there. Hunter Renfroe was there. Like, there's a bunch of old teammates that were there. So it's not just a matter of, since Manny's there, he's not getting traded. No, that's not it. It's that they're buddies. Like, whatever,
Yeah, and I mean, as we talked about Manny being the captain earlier, that should be the case. You shouldn't be like singling out a guy in the locker room for his struggles. Like, that is not what you want your leader to do. Yes, like, that's how you get guys to turn their back on you. So I don't know, but I think it's gonna do it for today. see if the Chargers and Niners win. But yeah, we'll be talking. We're gonna be finishing up these top 10s next week, and then we're gonna be finishing up the trade article, like where we're going through AJ Preller's trade. So if you haven't checked that out, we've done 3 of the years so far. I think there's 6 years. I think 6 years, and then the full recap one. And then we have like 3 or 4 more positions for the top 10s, and then after that, we're gonna start getting into some stuff. I'm gonna do an episode on a closer. Gonna talk about Fernando Tatis's fielding, bunch of stuff. So pretty pumped. Probably talk about Suzuki a little bit more, but yeah. All right, guys. Anything else you want to add, Isaac, before we take off?
No.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys very soon. See ya.